Welcome to South Asian Business Council of Virginia. We just had an incredible Zoom session on cybersecurity, and it was absolutely powerful. The energy, the questions, the insights, everything about this event was next level. We talked about how to land six-figure jobs in cybersecurity, how to start your career from scratch, whether non-technical professionals can break into the field, the best certifications to pursue, and how AI is transforming the cybersecurity industry. If you're serious about building a future in cybersecurity, you are in the right place. Before we dive into the full recap, take 10 seconds right now. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, like our page on Facebook, and follow us on LinkedIn. We're sharing real strategies, real opportunities, and real career growth. Now let's get into it. This program is proudly sponsored by South Asian Business Council of Virginia, empowering businesses, uplifting communities. Get ready, Virginia. The biggest South Asian business event of the year is here. Workshops, business training, funding opportunities, speed networking, pitch competitions, all in one place. Launch your idea, grow your business, meet leaders who can open real doors, network with entrepreneurs, officials, and mentors. This is where connections turn into success. Learn it, build it, pitch it, win it. March 29th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. For partnership and sponsorship, call 7039-759-040. This is your moment. Don't miss it.
For someone starting from zero with no technical degree and no IT background, what is the smartest first step into cybersecurity? And during the first 6 months, what should they focus on to build strong fundamentals?
Yes, no, absolutely. That's a great question. Run far away. No, I'm just kidding. No, so whether you're in transition of career or whether you are in college, I definitely would say that, to maybe take up some training, again, to get some knowledge in cyber. There's certifications such as like Security Plus, CISSP, of course, that you need some experience, but I'd say start with the basics, like learn and understand, how technology works, right? So the best cert I would say to get to start with is your A plus, because it teaches you everything you need to know about how a computer works. Because ideally, you need to understand that before you even pivot to cyber. Right. Again, these are some certifications I would recommend. Also, even if you're in college and you're studying, I'd say, okay, well, definitely work on your bachelor's, right, first, by obtaining it and achieving it. Obviously, in your classes, you do a lot of labs. A lot of those labs can actually translate to your resume as saying, hey, even though you don't have real world experience, you've actually done some exercises, you've used some tools. Again, this is one aspect. And the third component is, obtaining an internship, very, very important, because ideally you need some job experience, you need some real world experience, and of course, SABCVA with the 100 plus internships, and we got more than what I expected for the cybersecurity one. But the idea is to get that experience to get you to the full-time job or to get you the next opportunity. Again, you have to have that under your belt because employers are hiring managers. These are the things that they're going to look for. And in addition to some of the things that you went outside of, let's say your comfort zone and, have played with some of the tools, played with some of the technology, and you always want to add it to your resume, right? Because you have to show them, hey, this is some of the things you've done, not basically even what you've done in school, but even outside with doing some of these certificates. You don't have to go and get 10 certificates, but maybe like one or two helps, right? So it shows that you've taken initiative to do those type of things, right?
All right. So you talk about certification. There are many certification on the market today. From your experience as a CEO, as a top-notch cybersecurity professional, which certification truly add value for the beginners? And how should someone balance certification with hands-on practice?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'd say the best certification to go get is your Security Plus, but a lot of the oversighting organizations for those certifications now have changed some of the rules per se, like where you might need some experience in order to obtain them. But aside from certification, let's say, okay, maybe go back to the basics, like, again, getting an A plus, right, which gets you the knowledge of understanding how computers work or how to build them, right? Because if you don't understand any of that, then you're not going to understand cybersecurity. That's just bottom line, right? On top of that, maybe find someone I'm not talking about me, but I'm saying find someone that is an expert in the field and have them become your mentor, right? Where they can guide you and they can lead you to your success, right? Again, these are the type of things that I recommend. And then, maybe, again, there's like a certified, if you want to become a certified ethical hacker, for example, hacker, it's like, the white hat hacker. Well, you can learn how to hack, right? Or if you want to go into the penetration testing field, right? There's a lot of pen test certifications that you can obtain. But before you even pivot to that, again, I would just want to say, not knowing anything about the field, you have to kind of start from the bottom, right? Where it's understand how computers work and how the components work and exactly not just protecting assets. You have to understand what you're protecting because everything you're protecting is on something that's going to be physical ultimately, or maybe in the cloud, right? But that's the idea. So.
Ranbir, that was an incredibly practical and actionable advice.
Thank you.
Looking at today's job market, what technical skills are most in demand, and how important is programming knowledge for long-term success? Like for someone intimidated by coding, is basic scripting enough, or is deeper programming essential for higher level roles?
Well, no, that's a great question. I mean, without without code, we wouldn't have computers. We wouldn't have, these phones. We wouldn't have all of this technology because everything on the back end is code, right? I would say that, even if you fear learning or understanding code, you're going to have to know some of it, somewhat, right? Because ideally is if you don't understand that, then what are you protecting? Right? Essentially, hackers will go after the code, right? They'll go after the main component of a system or application, for example, right? So ideally, you want to maybe take some Python classes, for example. Lots of programming, lots of programs out there and software uses Python, but AI is a great example, right? They have a machine learning, you have LLMs, right? So this, but everything is still code, right? So you have to understand, where is the code sitting, right? Where it's being deployed and how is that being protected, right? Again, you don't have to go and learn how to program, from scratch like C, C++, or some of the other older languages like Cobalt. Assembly is like where you program memory. I mean, I'm dating myself, but these are the courses they offered in college when I was but I'd say, learn some of the basics, right? Learn some object-oriented program like, C, C++. Everything that's, built on Java, HTML. You have to learn and understand these things. You don't have to go and become an expert, but you have to at least have some knowledge, right? And even to your point, you said scripting, right? Scripting is quite easy, right? Like PowerShell is Windows, right? Linux-based systems, right? You have again, you have these things that you can learn and adapt because there's so many different things online now, and cost. Sometimes some of them are even free, right? You just find them, right? So ideally, you have to learn and understand from a technical perspective of how the code works and maybe how it's executed, for example. And again, you don't have to be super technical, but you at least have to get some bits and pieces of that knowledge, right?
Well, that was a powerful insight. I think many people needed to hear that perspective. You are consistently bridge the gap between technical depth and real career strategy, and that's what makes your guidance so valuable. Thank you for sharing that the level of honesty and expertise. Let's there are a lot of people and then young professionals and even people who are doing some other stuff. They always say that cybersecurity is often described as a six-figure career path. What
Yeah.
separates professionals who reach that level from those who remain average? Can professionals from finance, healthcare, educational, or other non-technical fields basically realistically pivot into cybersecurity?
Yeah, no,
That's
that's
a
a
huge
phenomenal
question.
question. And I am going to be the most frank, blunt person here, in this call. I would say that generally speaking, if your heart is not in it, you will not thrive.
Hmm.
Never go into a field because it pays six figures. Yes, the wow factor, but what it takes to get to that six figures, I've been there and it's very hard work. It's not easy. Again, I'm going to sort of give a very high level overview of the subcomponents of cybersecurity, right? So again, let's say if you you absolutely do not like coding and it's not your cup of tea, there's governance, risk, and compliance. So what that means is that you do assessments, you do risk assessments, right? So everybody on this call understands that your holy grail of cybersecurity is NIST, National Institutes of Standard and Technology, 800 special publication series, where you have the risk management framework, you have the cybersecurity framework, and then you have the zero trust architecture, you have 853, which covers like access control, physical security. I mean, there's over 14 different family domains that are in that. So ideally, if you want to really understand cybersecurity, it's not again, based on last Saturday's, like it's not about protecting assets. You have to go back to the basics. It's like learning the ABCs, right? When we're little, that you have to understand what are the moving pieces and components that cyber. So that's for someone that just wants to become, let's say, an assessor, a security analyst, sorry, more in the governance risk compliance, doing documentations, policies, procedures, auditing within cyber. And that's something that's someone that really loves to write, that loves to assess, that loves to ask a lot of questions, during the security questionnaire sessions, that can work with stakeholders of any title and they feel comfortable doing that. Right. So that's one component, right? The other components are, you know, more technical. Do you want to work in security operations center? Right? Are you willing to work any type of shift, day shift, swing shift, night shift, weekends? You want to be on call? I've been on call. I mean, my eyes used to like be very, very dark because I would work crazy hours, but that's the dedication that you go when you go there, right? You analyze logs, you analyze alerts. You do need to have some technical knowledge there to understand a lot of the tools that you're using. Again, that's working in the security operations. Threat intelligence. Now, lots of threat intel from many different sources and many different from, the health industry, financial industry, from our federal government, from, shared ethical resources that now are coming in so you can, understand how threat intel landscape works. Like, what are the latest threats that are going on, right? And how do we identify? Obviously, there's tools and there's a lot more entailed, but you're doing investigations. So if you have that analytical mind, you will love doing stuff like that, right? And where you're not interacting with a lot of people. Same thing in the Security Operations Center, right? Now I'm going to pivot to application security, right? So OWASP, right? That's a standard that they have. Standard frameworks that you follow for securing application. Now that goes back to the code piece, right? So do you understand, how do you secure websites, by using security headers, for example? I mean, I'm not getting too technical, but I'm giving you an example that AppSec is much needed because, how's people securing the code? I mean, AI is a big deal now, right? How is these big AI companies, securing your data? I don't know. Maybe people don't know, but I'm just giving you an example, right? These are things that you think about in that realm. Penetration testing is another one where you're testing the vulnerability of a system and level of risk. So if you like being hands-on and you like using tools and you love playing with tools, you produce reports out of it, right? So that's penetration testing, right? You have red team, blue team, purple. You have offensive security, defensive security. If you want to become an ethical hacker, right? Like you love hacking things, but you want to, you don't, you don't want to go to the dark side. You don't work in the dark web, dark world. You don't want to become
Yes.
part of that cyber criminal. You want to do everything right and ethical. Then you become a white hat hacker, right? Again, there's, there's insider threat. How do you trust your employees, right? What are they doing? They're going on different AI platforms that may be used for unethical purposes. They may be uploading sensitive contracts to it. Again, many different moving components in cyber. It's not just protecting assets. And I probably confused a lot of people on the call, but I'm giving you the laydown that these are the different subcomponents of cyber you can go into, right? You have to understand the basics, especially if you have zero knowledge about the field. Because everybody says, okay, well, I have to go in there protect assets. Well, before you even get to that point, you have to understand how everything connects because everything aligns from NIST and understanding those frameworks. And then you take that and you align it to the technologies, you align it to the tools, you align it to the people, right? It's a lot. I know it's a lot to digest, but as an expert, I'm throwing this here because I want everybody to know that you don't need to know necessarily program to go into cyber because there is a non-technical component of it if you want to do just become an assessor, right?
Yeah. So I would ask this question again. Can professional from finance, healthcare,
Oh yeah.
education, or other non-technical fields realistically pivot into the cybersecurity? I mean, no, I know you said yes, but I've been meeting hundreds of people, and when they see like cybersecurity jobs or advertisements or AI jobs and advertisements, they were like, "Oh man, we are doing this finance work, healthcare work. There is no money, nothing there. But programming is so tough, and we don't know anything about basic programming, and we want to get into a cybersecurity." What is your
Well,
suggestions for those people?
yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't say, pop it into AI and ask, and you can. AI makes a lot of mistakes. I'm going to tell you, repeat again, AI makes a lot of mistakes, a lot of fillers. Really, you need to talk to experts to get you to say, okay, well, in finance, how are you securing your data? How are they securing their data? How are you securing your financial data accounts? I've worked in largest credit union in the US, right? I mean, you're talking about millions of members, millions, right? So how are you securing their bank accounts, right? What are you doing to put preventative and detective measures, right? Again, even in their world, cybersecurity is actually needed across every single industry, and you can tell me otherwise. Healthcare, electronic healthcare, or sorry, EPHI,
EMR.
electronic health, protected health information, EPHI, right? HIPAA. Health is basically that's everything that goes back and aligns to cyber from operations, technical, physical security, right? So ideally, they can pivot in their own industries, but ideally, they would have to learn and understand how it all works. And hey, I want to know how to build a computer because that's where it starts. You have to start at the basics, right? When they got into finance, right, they had to learn about accounting, credits, debt, account receivables, payables. Don't ask me why I know this. I run a business anyways. Doesn't matter. Accounts payables, receivables. You have balance your books, right? I mean, it's a lot more than that, right? Because you have to say you have budget, you have to allocate the budget. Again, like CFOs, they do this all day long, right? In finance world, there's I think it's called the 10K, where they have to make sure that all of their information is being protected, right, in their world. So they're very familiar with that. So again, if they want to pivot in healthcare, just learn and understand HIPAA. If they want to pivot in financial world, learn and understand how financial data is being protected. How do you know if CFO is not sharing contracts with competitors? How do you know that? So again, that goes to insider threat. But the idea is like in industry, even manufacturing, right? How are they protecting the data in OT, right? Operational technology, right? Or retail, right? Point of sale services. How are they protecting credit card information? So everything goes back to cyber. It doesn't matter what industry you work in, right? You could still stay in the same industry, but you pivot, right? Because you're doing career transition into another industry. And again, you have to tune out the six figures because you're not going to make six figures right away going into cyber. That's the truth. That's the truth, right? But the idea is if your heart is there and it's in it, you will thrive in the field, right? I've met so many people that have gone in the field and they absolutely do not like being in the field because it's hard work. If you're willing to work very hard, you will succeed very much so.
Yeah, thank you so much for incredible and insightful answer. We have two more, two final, two more questions to go. But before that, We are also grateful to have Jasmeet Kaur with us, a strong advocate for professional development and a community engagement. She's also a cyber security professional working for top five consulting firm. Jasmeet, thank you for supporting South Asian Business Council of Virginia and tonight's program. Please introduce yourself and share a few words, please.
Thank you. It is so nice to be here today. Thank you, Mansoor, for having me. A lot of good conversation that we're having today, and Ranbir, I agree with you a lot, but I also disagree with you on few things. So
You don't
I
have to agree
myself
with
have
me.
Yeah, this is what I like about this Zoom meeting. Agree and disagreement. Let's go.
yeah, so I myself have been working in cybersecurity for almost a decade now. And I did not have an IT degree, so I started in research field. So I have a science background, and surprisingly, when I switched to IT and cyber, I saw there are many people like me. In conferences, I would meet people from journalism background. They were teachers, some of them from banking industry. And I think one thing that was common between all these individuals was certifications and curiosity. So cybersecurity, definitely you need to have a certification to get your foot into the industry, because it also gives you some basic foundation of what are you securing, right? Because cybersecurity is about securing information, data, and at rest, and what it is you have to understand. And these certifications really help you. They are not very intense, like, but it is doable. Like, I believe in nowadays, any field you go into, you have to, there is this aspect of continued education. And similarly for IT and cybersecurity. So if you're willing to give that, do your certifications, be curious of, what's out there, what's next to learn. And and I think it's what has really helped me and others is lean in to opportunities to learn, to volunteer, go to conferences, meetups, because this field is changing so fast and there are so many new terms, new aspects of cyber, now AI, and what we are securing. So as long as you are willing to, I mean, I agree it's a lot of hard work, but it's doable hard work. It's not like, it really gives you a good work-life balance also, especially cybersecurity and or even IT field, right? And I think, yeah, so we were talking about non-technical positions. So cybersecurity has around, and you can search it up, right? 30 to 35% non-technical jobs means you don't need to know coding to be into cybersecurity. You can be into compliance, you can be into go into policy, risk management, as Ranbir you mentioned about it, and also program management in cyber. These are some really good paying jobs. All you need to do is learn to pivot, learn get some certifications, go do some networking, understand what things are going on, and how to, I think having that, research mindset and asking questions would always help you. So it is quite doable, and we do provide. I'm going to mention too that I have a nonprofit, and we provide all these certifications. A lot of students who have taken these certifications are able to get into cyber, and it is something that's doable. And I feel like something that we should, try to get into more and even learn, because whatever domain you are in, it could be finance, it could be healthcare. Every field nowadays has a security aspect to it. So even if you don't really want to switch 100% to cyber, your domain background and a combination of cybersecurity information will always give you a better edge compared to your workers or people in your team. So I just wanted to
Thank
add
you.
that.
Thank you, Jasmeet. Yes, Rambir, would you like to say anything?
No, again, we don't have to always agree, but if what she said is on point, right? I have 12 plus more years over her because I used to run cable servers and rack cables. And yes, necessarily you don't need technically
Mhm.
an IT degree, and even I'm sorry, yeah, you don't need a technical degree to get into cyber. I've met folks that have English degrees and have in transition of a career moving, they just want to get out of their current career and pivot into cybersecurity, right? Like even myself, I got an information system management degree as my bachelor's, right? And again, master's in cyber. Not that it matters. I'm just giving you an example where, again, you don't. Cybersecurity is becoming a trade.
Mhm.
That's where it's pivoting to,
Yeah.
right? And you're going to probably start to see more trade schools pop up because, people just want to learn, like, being in a security operations center and, having that experience and that exposure, and then eventually getting these internships, right? I know there people would come to me and say, hey, Ranbir, like, I don't have 3 to 5 years of experience. I know it's also employers that have to give the opportunity, right? These Fortune 500 companies, right? That says, okay, fine, we have to kind of say, okay, now the next wave of college graduates are coming in,
Mhm.
right? And they, give them the opportunity, right? Because then the generation that is on its way out to retirement, right? So ideally, like it's kind of the flow of system, right? Where you don't necessarily need a lot of years of experience, but have again, going back to SABCVA internship, right? Just saying where you get a couple months under your belt. I'm telling you, somebody's going to give you an opportunity, right? And just me saying that go to these events, go network, get uncomfortable, meet people, and that's how you have to get uncomfortable. There's no way that you're going to get a job if somebody people email me all the time asking me for a job. I'm like, if I have a
Mhm.
thousand jobs to give, I would give it. I swear to you, hands down, right?
Yeah. But these kids need to think strategically too, because if they have like, zero experiences or projects in their resume, then it is very tough for them to get like, good quality job. Not even, they don't even get internship if they don't have anything in their resume. And this is why, SABCVA, we are launching this 100 summer internship, and we interviewed 170 people last week. And because the students and the fresh graduates, when they come out from their school, they don't have like, anything to talk about to employers, and these employers, they always looking for not only like, people to have some kind of an experience, but certifications too. Nowadays, I also notice, few things, that a lot of employers, they don't care if you have a degree or if you have a master's degree or if you have even PhD. They only care about what kind of expertise you have, what kind of certifications you have, and can you do some hands-on work. And this is why SABCVAs, in our internships, the students and the young professionals, they learn hands-on quality work. They work on
Yeah.
real cutting edge project. Would you like to say anything on that, Rambir?
Yeah, no, it's you know, I'm gonna be blunt. Cybersecurity is one of the most challenging yet rewarding industries to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I've been running a business, and it's not easy either running a business. But the idea is like, okay, well, you know, change is inevitable, right? And cybersecurity is going to continue growing. There's not nearly enough resources out there to fill these jobs,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I would highly advise, especially if you're a graduating senior from high school, freshman, a sophomore, junior, senior in college. Find a mentor. No, don't message me, please. No, I'm just kidding. But the idea is like find a mentor that has been in the industry that is willing to mentor you, right? That is willing to sort of guide you and coach you to the ropes, right? And you don't have to spend, $250,000 to go to college to find one. There are people out there, you will find them, right? So once you do that, then they can sort of guide you to the things that you need to do. Because it's unfortunate when I went to school, like there wasn't really any resources to teach me how to interview or how to do my resume, like ATS format. I had to learn these things, right? And I had to go through thousands of interviews over my corporate time to kind of eventually understand how to go through an interview, right? Even the last weekend we had the big internship fair. I've never heard people talk so fast in my life. Slow down because I can't understand anything you're saying, right? So communication is very effective, right? Like you have to get your story by, right? Why do you want to join cyber? Why do you love, what do you love about this field? Don't tell me that because it pays you six figures, you're going to be happy. And I've met so many people unhappy in the field. They do very well. They make court CISOs make $500,000. Absolutely hate their job. Want to quit the next day. But they have to support their family and do what they do, right? I mean, again, you choose your path and where you want to go as far as growing your career, right? But, don't get into a field, don't try to fluff your resume. It will backfire so fast that hiring managers will see it like the back of their hand. So this
Okay.
is something I recommend too. Don't
So
do anything
let
like
me
that.
ask you one more question, and then I'm gonna ask you the last one. So,
Yeah, yeah, sure.
so can 12th grader, the person who has no degree or nothing in his hand, and he's in 12th grade, just of high schooler, can he get easily get a cybersecurity job? Also, what is the importance of bachelor's or a master's degree in order to get a cybersecurity job?
No, this is a phenomenal question, right? I met some very talented minds this past internship fair. I even felt like I was not that smart in the room that day. um, I will say this: no matter how many degrees you get, bachelor's, master's, PhD, right? You should sort of pace it, right? Because ideally, you went to school for 4 years to get, to specialize in an industry, right? Or whatever you studied in, right? Ideally, you still have to get some type of work experience, right? Even if you're a senior in high school, right? Like, start going to networking events, have your parents, sorry, you drive by that time. You're driving. So, find out where these networking events, and I'm not trying to here to boast or sell SABCVA, but if they had something like this, in my, when I was in college, man, I think, it would have been much easier to try to get a job, right? Ideally, or try to get some type of opportunity to go into to pivot into my career in cyber, right? But the idea is like you have to network, you have to meet folks, right? I mean, that's the second part of it. You have to do the work. If you send someone an email asking for a job, nobody's going to give you a job. You have to build you have to build your network, right? Your network is your net worth. Everybody says that, right?
Yeah.
So ideally, and then I'll give you an example, right? Sorry, I know we're running on time, but when I did my bachelor's, I waited 8 years, or sorry, 8 year, no, 9 years, and then I went to go do my master's. So I didn't get it right away. So if you're in a rush to get all of these advanced degrees, sometimes hiring managers get intimidated by it. Especially, they see doctorates, they're like, this person's too qualified. I've heard hiring managers tell me that, like, oh, and they get intimidated by PhDs because they think you're too intelligent, right? So get your PhD when you're in your like 40s or 50s. Who cares? Unless, I mean, even I went after my PhD and then I had to pause. It was very stressful, but I only was going to go after it to go teach,
Okay.
right? But I'm telling you my story because these are things that are not taught. It's like, okay, well, I have to be in these 10 clubs and I have to do this, and you don't have to do any of that, any of that. You just have to sort of pace yourself. And why are you rushing your education so fast?
All
That
right.
doesn't make any sense either, right? As long as even in cybersecurity, you don't need a degree, right? You have maybe one or two certifications that's good, and you have maybe a 6 month internship under your belt, you will get a job. You will.
Yeah.
Not a guaranteed, but you will get a job. You go network. You go meet people like Mansoor and Ranbir. It doesn't have to exactly be us, but meet people that are willing to help you. This is us giving back our time to you because we didn't have that. I don't know if you recall, like nobody was giving me handouts. Like it was impossible to get it. We didn't have LinkedIn. We had to have Career Builder, Dice, Monster. We didn't have a lot of networking fairs. And even if we did, right? They wanted people like that had, 3, 5 6 years of experience already. So that was very tough back, back in the days. So
Well, that's a great answer. Even a 12th grader can get a job at cybersecurity. This is what I understand. So thank you so much for giving us such a big hope. So
can
let's
sorry,
talk.
can I just say one more thing?
Yes,
So
sir.
do you remember the MCSC
Mm-hmm.
certification days? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm only bringing this back. I met a buddy, right? Literally 17. Um, said I didn't want, the college is not for me. Went to go get the certification at 17. I mean, I'm talking about this is like years ago. He was making $70 an hour on just a certificate. So he
That's
didn't have no degree. He didn't have no. Yeah, I mean, I guess he knew people, but like my point is that you don't know what you don't know until you open up doors for yourself. You got to kind of just get uncomfortable. And even every day for me, sometimes it's uncomfortable. Even for you, Mansoor Bhai. Like we're older, but like you
Mhm.
still goes to the nerves.
Yeah. So let's go with the next question. Over the next 5 years, what major trends will shape cybersecurity careers, and how is artificial intelligence influencing this field? Will AI reduce entry-level jobs or roles, or empower those who know how to leverage it?
I love that you brought up that question because AI opened up Pandora's box for the cybersecurity world in a positive way. So what that means is there are a lot of unethical AI systems in existence. So the challenges now is in the unethical part of it. Like a lot of cyber attacks are happening, AI threats, and I'm not telling you, even the big, really big name cyber defensive tools, they're struggling to how to catch those things, right? So our field is about to take the next level. It took a very took a very long time for organizations to hey, we need cyber. Oh no, we've been breached. Now we got to spend all this money and build a cyber team. So get ready that there are going to be lots of opportunities open for everybody inside, that decides to go this route, right? To understand threat landscapes and don't forget post quantum is going to
Mhm.
break encryption big time. So that's coming too, right? And not here yet because you can't go buy a quantum computer to the consumer yet, but that's going to happen, right? So ideally there is going to be a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of opportunities. So if those that are graduating or plan to graduate soon feel that there's not much out there, I mean, Mansoor Bhai, we can both tell you that the job market is still very, very hot. It's not posted in LinkedIn. It's not posted on all these recruiting site, not recruiting site, but job posting sites. A lot of employers stop posting it. So most of these are found through people that know people that are connected in that world, right? So ideally, you just have to meet the right people, right? And then eventually you meet the right person, and they'll introduce you to a hiring manager, and you go rock the interview. And again, these things take time. I mean, I'll share with you, I was very much an introvert, man. I couldn't speak in front of people. I didn't, if I showed you a video 5.5 years ago, Mansoor Boy, you'd be like, what the heck is this? It takes time. You build the confidence, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Are the real person, or is this your AI clone?
Oh, no, this is the AI right now. Hold on. Let me get the real person.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
So,
here
so,
now.
so last question, Ranbir bhai, if there is one piece of advice you want everyone watching tonight to remember about building a successful cybersecurity career, what would it be?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. You are your own success, no matter what, right? Whether it's in cybersecurity or whatever field you want to pursue, right? Um, you have to tune out noises, right? If somebody's going to be like, oh, okay, well, you're not going to succeed in that. Well, don't be friends with that person. No, I'm just kidding. But the idea is like, you are your own success. So if you genuinely want to pursue this field, you have to go back to the basics. Everything you learn in school, that's great. You take all these courses, right? But I'm going to be real here, right? A lot of those really smart, intelligent folks that are teaching you is all theoretical, right? They don't know or understand the real world if they've never worked in profession. I'm not saying they're not teachers that are not in the real world, right? So it's kind of Like you're learning based on book knowledge, right? You're being tested against theoretical and landscape and whatever you're learning in these classes, right? But ideally, you also need real world experience to obtain some of that knowledge, right? Because when you work with teams and when you work with people, right, you're working with every single type of personality. You can't take anything personal there. It's work, it's professional, right? So that's one thing. It took me a long time to get there too, but ideally, we learn over time that once you don't take things personal, then you will allow room for growth. So that's what I can say, especially if you want to get into the cybersecurity field.
Yeah. Ranbir, that's a powerful advice to close on. Your leadership, generosity, and commitment to mentoring others truly reflects the kind of community-driven success we believe in at SABCVA. We are grateful for your partnership and your continued support. Friend, as I mentioned before, that we recently interviewed 170 candidates for 100 SABCVA summer internship programs in cybersecurity and AI. To continue initiative like this, we need support from our community, whether it is your time, mentorship, expertise, or financial contribution. Every bit help. Together we can continue the mission. And by the way, I don't want to announce it, but by the way, Ranbir is leading our SABCVA summer cybersecurity internship program. So if you are interested, your sisters, brothers, whoever are interested in gaining hands-on experience and learning directly under industry leadership, I strongly encourage you to connect with him after this session. This is a real opportunity to build experience, not just a theory. And I hope everyone gain clarity and direction tonight. I would like to share one quote from Bill Gates, and I always love it, that if you are a born poor, it is not your mistake, but if you die poor, it is your mistake. So remember, guys, you're not going to get anything for free. You have to work hard, you have to work smart, you have to stay focused, and we are here to support you.
You are a CEO of a contracting firm. When you're hiring individuals, regular staff, entry-level staff, what are the qualities you're looking for in that person that you're hiring?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, aside from, experience and maybe certifications and education, right? But education to me, like even if you have a college degree or not, it's fine. But the idea is that I I need to know and understand how you can communicate effectively, right? Like personality is 85% of everything, right? Like, are you a self-starter? Are you a team player? Can you align with others? Doesn't matter position title. Can you not take things personally? So these are the things that I really look for quality for a qualified candidate because ideally they are representing my name. Sorry, they're representing the name and brand of the business, right? Last thing I want to do is send the client someone that is just gonna, you know, not do that great and then cause problems, right? Ideally, no matter even going in as an individual contributor, you have to display some quality of leadership skills, right? And I'm not saying those things are built from college or graduating from college or overnight, right? It takes time to acquire these skills. But ideally, if you show a little bit, then you can learn. That's why I'm telling everybody, even if you're a high school senior to, a freshman, junior, sophomore, junior, senior in college, find a mentor, find a mentor, find a mentor. It doesn't have to necessarily be in cyber, but find a mentor that is going to sort of be your right-hand person to guide you in some sort of way. And don't reach out to me on LinkedIn asking me to be your member. I'm joking. I'm totally joking. But the idea is like, you know, that's the first thing is first. It's very important because you want someone that has industry experience. You want somebody that has industry knowledge, and you want to find someone that's like a positive light, right?
Mhm.
They're not going to judge you. They're not going to criticize you. They're not going to give you negative feedback. They're going to give you feedback with a grain of salt. And that's the problem. A lot of humans cannot digest criticism or feedback because they take it as a defense mechanism and personal. Once you take things personal, it will mess you up and you will put yourself out of a job in like no time. People put
Okay,
themselves out of
another.
it. People put
All right,
themselves
so
out
so
of a
we
job.
have, we have the question. We somebody raised the hand. So
Yeah, go
Mike,
ahead, go ahead. Go ahead.
what questions you have?
Ranbir, no, thanks for your feedback and insight into everything, and for the group. This is actually a great event. No, I completely agree with what you were saying. Like the soft skills are great, right? Can you communicate orally, verbally? Can you deliver bad news to the customer, and how do you deliver it, right? So, I mean, and that's one of the things that I use when I hire like some security engineers. And I'll pivot a little bit from this because I know a lot of the focus was on like getting into cyber, internships. But let me pivot and ask you this with your experience. And I'll just use my real life example. So I'm someone with 17 years plus cyber experience. I'm director of cyber operations at a mid to large size defense contractor in the DC area. My contract is coming to an end at the end of April. The CDM program, right, out of CISA from DHS. And, the market is, and I'm not a young guy, right? I'm 47. So any words of advice or on ways where I should start, or someone at, I guess a mid or more of a senior level in the cyber industry should be looking to find a new opportunity relatively quickly, but while also kind of doing the due diligence with finding the right opportunity.
Yeah, that's a fair question. Are you going to lots of networking events? Are you meeting people in person? I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be IT or cyber events. Are you looking at other industries besides federal?
Yeah, well, so I'm actually just in the beginning stages of that, meaning resume just got polished up and all this type of stuff. But I plan on doing these networking events, virtually and then in person. But yeah, I think that's a great way, like you said, to kind of
Or
network.
let me ask you another question. Are you active on social media, even though if that's not your cup of tea?
So funny enough, yesterday I just changed my LinkedIn profile to open to work. You know how you can set that, and then I updated everything, and then
Sure.
I put it up, a little bit toned down kind of message on Facebook as well, just to try to throw my name, out there. There may be
Yeah,
someone
no,
from high
definitely,
school.
definitely.
So yeah,
And one
I've
of the most important
Yeah,
advice is that you are right now. I'm a meeting with one of the best recruiter in America, Mr. Mansoor Qureshi. So you
yeah,
can
he's right here.
contact me. I work for K Force, and I can try to get you a job as soon as possible. So let's connect
Yeah,
after.
and send me your resume, Mike. I have some connections as well. See, look, well, you just did it. You just answered. You just asked a question and happened within seconds. That's how
yeah,
it happens. That's the power of networking. Mike asked a question. He stepped out of his comfort and was like, this is my situation. And you know what? A vulnerability, and generally speaking, is not a weakness. It is a strength. A vulnerability is a strength. So ideally, if you need help, not out of desperation, but saying, hey, this is happening, these things are going on, put yourself out there, right? Like go on social media, go connect with folks, connect with directors, hiring managers, and again, the beauty of it now, he has his open to work badge. So recruiters are going to be reaching out to him, right? Because they use LinkedIn Recruiter off of LinkedIn as an app, right? For recruiters so they literally they could search for candidates that are cyber, X amount of years, open to work badge, and they'll be reaching out to him because he's like, oh, 17 years behind his belt. And if Mike's open to going to other industries, he'll take the opportunity, right? Yes, having been in the federal sector, I've, worked in government contracting, so I definitely know how it is. But the idea is like you got to put yourself out there. Nobody is going to give you a job. I get very frustrated when people reach out to me and ask me for a job. I will not respond. I will not respond. I'm being honest. Get to know people, connect, network. Mansoor, I met him maybe over a year ago, and this SABCVA was a thought, and here we are, 100 internships. You know, all of the advisory members are doing this for their time. because they believe that, in giving back. I never had any help. I never had any mentors, so this is my way of saying, okay, well, if I can help you, great, but don't ever do it out of desperation. It's not going to do it in your favor. Trust me.
No, good, great advice. I appreciate it. Like, what do they say? Pay it forward, right? So,
Yeah, well, like giving back time, like
giving back. Yeah, giving back.
giving back doesn't have to mean like, hey, just because it's Ramadan now, you got to give money, but then you do it once
So,
a year.
so we
Why aren't
only
you
a
giving
few
back?
more
Why aren't you
minutes.
giving back every day? Right?
Yeah.
Like I'll give you an example. Sorry, Mansoor, real quick. I'll give you an example, right? You see someone, maybe you go into some 7-Eleven, somebody standing outside, maybe they're hungry, and you ask them, hey, are you hungry? Can I buy you something? And they'll be like, yeah, I'm hungry. So you buy them something, but you don't tell anybody about it. I'm not saying I did.
Yeah,
I'm just giving
true.
you an example. So that's your giving back, and then it's gonna come back to you in other ways, is what I'm saying.
I
So the
agree.
the, the problem is that when people do it out of desperation because nothing. I mean, I have a buddy, like that's been looking and looking for months and months and months and months and can't get anything because then you become desperate. I mean, we've all been there. Trust me, even myself. It's not a great feeling.
Yeah. So Ranbir, the question we have, another question. So how important are personal projects and how much impact could they make on your experience from
Personal
Sai
projects.
Koeda? Mm-hmm.
No, definitely, that's a great question. Personal projects show that you went outside of your way to learn something new or do something that's not tied to a company, that's not tied to a class, that's not tied to a project, that's not tied to a grade, that's not tied to a GPA. Something maybe you paid for the service, maybe you didn't, but it shows the hiring managers that, hey, you built a whole security operations center, using open source. Like Security Onion is a good one. A lot of folks know what it is on here who's in the cyber realm. But ideally, if you don't, start, again, you don't want to jump to the tools right away, but I'd say always learn the holy grail of NIST cybersecurity frameworks is really where you want to start if you want to even pivot into the field.
So last two questions, but before that, Asadullah Hakim asked, how are AI and automation changing the expectation for cybersecurity roles?
Well, think about this. A lot of the AI tools that are out there, how do you know they're securing your data? I can guarantee you 95% of them are not because they're looking at exit or evaluation or numbers, right? You have to think of it from a different perspective, right? A lot of these tools that are out there available for you, right? They're using like Amazon Azure. They spin up a bunch of servers, and then Amazon is in big data centers, but then they're renting the servers, they're renting the power, the pipe. They don't own those equipment. Maybe they do. I don't know. So you have to sort of reverse engineer everything you've taught or learned, right? And AI was created by our federal government in 1956. It's very dated tech. The only reason why it's here because it became available to consumer a couple years ago, right? So ideally, to the youngsters out there, you have to backtrack. You have to go history. You have to understand it. And then once you understand that, then you realize like, oh, yeah, this is bad. DeepSeek was a big one. They were AI out of the Asias and they got hacked. Imagine how many records, sensitive information, tax. You don't know. What are people uploading to it?
All
So
right, we have last question. Anybody wants to ask this question or should we close this?
go ahead. That's fine. I know we're over, but that's good.
Yeah, the one gentleman said he has MCSC and he has CCNA, CCNP, but he doesn't have certification. So is this okay or he needs to go for certification?
I mean, if he wants to, he can, right? Ideally, you have to sort of learn the basics. It's just like when I know this sounds silly, but I have a 4-year-old. She's learning ABCs, right? How do you learn the English language, right? So just like cybersecurity, go back to basics. Don't think about just protecting assets. What are you protecting, and do you understand how it's being protected? That's the response I got from most of the interns or the internship fair, the folks that were around my table. Yes, it's protecting assets, but there's a lot behind, a lot of moving pieces behind it. It's not just protecting assets.
All right. So Thank you, Ranbir bhai. Thank you so much. Thank you, Henry, our Henry Eichelberg. Thank you, Juan Pablo Segura, Jasmeet Kaur, Mazhar bhai. Thank you, all volunteers, Ms. Khanan, Aisha, and Omer, Mazhar. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your dedication. Tonight was not just a webinar, it was clarity, it was direction, it was strategy. On behalf of South Asian Business Council of Virginia, I want to thank you again to Ranbir for your powerful insights, our guests for their leadership, Umair, Aisha, Kanan guiding the session, and all of you for being part of this movement. We are building leaders, we are building opportunity, and we are building the
This
future.
program is proudly sponsored by South Asian Business Council of Virginia, empowering businesses, uplifting communities. Get ready, Virginia. The biggest South Asian business event of the year is here. Workshops, business training, funding opportunities, speed networking, pitch competitions, all in one place. Launch your idea, grow your business, meet leaders who can open real doors. Network with entrepreneurs, officials, and mentors. This is where connections turn into success. Learn it, build it, pitch it, win it. March 29th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. At partnership and sponsorship, call 7039-759-040. This is your moment. Don't miss it.